Kim, are you ready for me?
Go right ahead.
Excellent. Great. Well, I'm so excited to be with you all virtually. I'm so sorry I couldn't be with you there personally. As Kim mentioned, I live in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and I'm a speaker for Google's Grow with Google program. Grow with Google is a new initiative, actually, and it's designed to help people prepare for work, find jobs, and grow their business. I know most of you who are participating in the webinar, whether you've logged on online or you're in the room at Boise State today, you're most likely a business owner. Small businesses can learn how to grow their online presence and improve customer loyalty through this program. So it's really something for you all to check out after this presentation. Go to growwithgoogle.com and you can see all of the other resources and information and great things to learn. I'm excited to talk to you today about data. I know data is not the most exciting topic to some, but this is the most important element of your marketing that you're most likely missing. Using data to drive growth means that we are using the right tools and technology to capture that data, but then also really understanding how to look at it from the right perspective as a small business owner. The problem, or I guess not the problem, is the data. We have tons of data, right? So the data is being collected all the time. So that's really not the issue or the area of focus today. The issue or the area that we're going to focus on are the insights that you pull from the data. Data in a nutshell helps businesses grow, but you have to use it, right? You can't just have data. I mean, data's there, it's collected, but unfortunately, if you are not looking at it, analyzing it, and really asking the right questions of the data, then it's not going to help your business grow. It's just going to sit there and collect in the analytics software, or it's going to sit there in reports. So we're going to talk today about how to really use data to help your business grow, even if you are a small business like these folks at Rumi. Rumi started their business as a multi-product company where they were manufacturing reusable shopping bags. So these reusable shopping bags were a lot to manufacture, and they were also selling them through a brick and mortar location. For them, using the Google tools that I'm going to talk about today and looking at their actual data rather than just relying on gut instincts, they were able to come up with a totally new product concept that they were able to put into place that changed the course of their business. So we're not just talking about how data can inform your marketing, but we're also talking about how it can inform your business as a whole. Really, to truly unlock new opportunities with data, you have to look at the insights. Insights are and need to be novel, right? This needs to be something that's new and unexpected that you're looking for. They also, of course, it needs to be credible. It can't just be based on some sort of fluke or some sort of weird happening. So we need to make sure that it's a credible source of information, as well as something that you can act on. Because data, of course, again, just sitting in a briefcase or just locked away in a report is not going to do you any good to grow your business. You need to be able to take action on it, whether within your marketing or your business as a whole, in order to actually grow from the rich data that we do have. So we're going to follow James along on his journey of how he explored data in his small business. So James owns a pizza restaurant, and his passion was making pizzas and being a cook and coming up with great recipes and coming up with a wonderful restaurant concept that people would enjoy coming to and being at. So not just a take and go kind of pizza shop, but a pizza restaurant where he served craft cocktails and experimented with recipes and serves beautiful food and fun drinks and creates this really great experience. So James is like many typical small business owners. He often relies on his gut instincts. So James because he's also a pizza lover, right? He loves to make them, but he also loves to eat them. His favorite pizza is a traditional Hawaiian pizza. So he decided, I'm going to add a Hawaiian style pizza or a pineapple pizza to my menu because he was experimenting with a new recipe. He loved how it came out, and he immediately added it to the menu. He liked it. He thought his customers would like it. So that's one gut instinct example, right? And you probably could think of many that you've made in your own business, or maybe ones that you've thought of that you actually never actually put into play. Another type of gut instinct that might be familiar to you is cutting prices when sales are down. James did that as a way to help his overall revenue growth. When his sales were down, rather than employing other tactics, he would just cut prices and try to sell more that way. So these gut instincts, we're going to take a look at them, look at his real data, and see whether or not he was on the mark or not in making these decisions. So when it comes to using data, I want to define these terms a little bit more for you so that you understand what we're talking about here. Data are the facts or statistics. This is the raw numbers and information, like I said, that's being collected all the time. Analytics are patterns and trends within the data. So you take raw numbers and you compare them with each other and across a variety of different factors to create a analytics pattern or an analysis of that raw information. And then insights, what I mean by that are the actionable value that you take from looking at the data and making meaningful choices by looking at the patterns and trends within that data. So looking at numbers, looking at the patterns, and understanding what insights you pull from it help you to make better business decisions. It's not that gut instincts or your own personal opinions aren't valid or that they aren't appropriate. They might be, but you also want a little bit more information in there to really justify making that type of gut instinct decision within your business. So today we're going to talk about the importance of goals, asking the right questions, and of course the tools that you'll want to use in this process of using data to drive your business growth. So let's talk about outlining your goals. When you look at data and numbers, it's a lot of information. So before you look at it and before you set up any type of marketing campaign, you want to create a set of goals that you're hoping to reach. So what really makes a good goal? A good goal is a SMART goal. You'll see each of the first letters of the word, or each of the letters of the word SMART here in this list of what makes a good goal. A SMART goal is specific. You are giving specificity around the objective. So rather than just saying, hey, we want to increase our revenue this year, you're creating specificity by saying, we want to increase our revenue by 25% within the next 6 months. Actually, that's an example of specificity and time sensitivity, which is the T of SMART. Within a SMART goal as well, it needs to be measurable, attainable, and relevant to your current state of business. If you have a new startup and you're just beginning to market and advertise that business, it may not be a relevant goal, may not be having a increase in revenue of $1 million, right? That's just a sort of extreme example. But you have to look at how this goal is relevant to your current state of business. And then, of course, we need to make sure that the goal matches what would help your business the most. So let's go back to look at James for a moment. James decided that he wanted to increase online orders by 25%. So he is a brick and mortar pizza restaurant. He does most of his business in his restaurant in person. But he also has the ability for people to order pizzas online. And he has, utilizes those delivery services like Caviar and, the other folks that come and pick up the pizzas and deliver them all around his city. But he noticed that the online orders were lacking. He wanted to increase his online orders by 25%. So he set a goal to do that, 25% within a month's period. So you start with that goal so you can work towards the goal, right? So you start with the goal in mind and figure out, what now am I going to do to increase online orders by 25% this month? He could make a bunch of gut decisions and based on things maybe that have worked before, or just guesses of what he thinks might work. And that might be okay to put into play some of those gut instincts, but you also want to measure against that by looking at the data. So what are your goals? We'll go back to James in a moment to look at what happened with him. But think about for a moment what your goals are. Some ideas are you trying to generate more leads? Maybe you're trying to book more appointments, or to get more online sales like James. Maybe you're trying to increase the amount of phone calls and sales calls that you take, or the amount of foot traffic within your brick and mortar business, or the amount of downloads of a guide or an ebook that you created on your website. Whatever the goal is, make sure that it is a SMART goal. So for example, if your goal is to increase leads, by how much? In what time frame? Is this an attainable goal that you've set? And how are you going to measure that? So for a moment, jot down a few of your current goals, some things that you would like to accomplish within your business, so that you can then set up a path for your marketing to help you achieve those goals. I'll give you the next 30 seconds to write a few things down. Okay, great. Hopefully you've written down at least one goal. You can work on this all the time. Your goals, of course, are going to change, and that's the nature of business. That's the nature of the growth of your business. We hope that your goals change over time so that you can start to attain and achieve new things over time as your business grows. So that's the first step, creating the right goals, having SMART goals that you can then put to work within your marketing, so that you can actually design marketing steps, campaigns, and activities, as well as change things potentially within your business to reach those goals. The next thing we want to do in order to make data work for us and to help our business actually grow is to ask questions. And when I mean ask questions, I mean ask questions of the data. So there are 4 different categories of questions that I want to go over with you, and we're going to go into depth into each 4 of these. But the first one is reach. Questions like, who is your audience and how do you reach them? You also need to be concerned with the engage types of questions. So can they find answers? Are they engaging with your content? The next set of questions all deal with convert. Do your leads become customers? Do website visitors do the things that you want them to do, like sign up for your email list? And then the 4th category of questions to consider are sustain. So are people turning into loyal customers? Are they referring people to do business with you? So if you look at each of these 4 categories of questions, they really follow the very typical customer journey. A customer journey is going to begin with awareness, right? And that's the reach area of questions. How do people reach you and know that you're there? Engagement is really going to encompass the middle stage and phase of a customer journey, which is where they're considering whether or not they're going to do business with you. They are comparing you to your competitors. They're gaining and gathering information, and it's your job as a business and within your marketing to engage them with content, discussions, conversations, with information that's going to help them make a decision, hopefully to do business with you versus your competitor. And then that fourth category of convert, or the third category rather of convert, this is where we start to sell things. It may not be the big sale. It may not be, you know, the high-end product, but maybe you start to do some micro conversions, like getting people to sign up for an email list, or to get them to buy something small that leads to a larger purchase down the line. And then sustain, of course, is that last category of the customer journey of advocacy, where you are getting your current customers to become loyal customers as well as referral sources for you. So this customer journey, what we span, what our customers span, and what we span with our marketing is all happening anyway. You have to think like marketing as a way of influencing this already existing customer journey. Every single one of your target customers is going through this process of becoming aware of you, considering you, maybe doing some smaller conversions, and then possibly doing a larger conversion, and then maybe becoming a loyal customer and a referral source. That's happening to your customers. They're going on that journey with you. Your marketing should be designed to influence every step of that journey in your favor, right? So these are the types of questions that we ask of our data, ask of the marketing campaigns that we're setting out to do. So let's look at each of these questions a little bit more in depth by going back to James. So his reach questions were things like, what are people searching for? So when he's looking at his data, and when he's looking at data in general, not even just his own, he's looking at what kinds of things are they searching for when they are ordering online pizza or those types of foods. He also, of course, is looking at who is his audience. That's an important question in order to know how to reach that particular audience, as well as where. How do they find you online is another question of where, right? Are they finding you by doing direct searches, meaning are they typing your company name into Google? Or are they finding you more through referral sources of where you, maybe they're linking to your website or web pages from another's website? Knowing that information is going to inform you more on what ways are the best ways to reach the people that you want to either sell more pizzas to, or sell more memberships to, or sell more widgets to. The next category of engage, and again, this is that process or that period of time when somebody is on the customer journey and they're considering whether or not they're going to buy from you. So think about the kinds of questions you could ask here. What do people do once they find you? So in James's case, he was looking at, okay, now once they go from a digital ad that I've placed, and that's a way to reach them, they go to my website, and he can look at what they do on his website by having Google Analytics tied to his site, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the actual tools that we're going to use. But he's looking at what they do once they find him. You need to think about that as well. What do people do once they find you? You don't want them to just become aware of you and go, okay, that's it, done, I'm aware. That would be stopping them at that very beginning stage of the customer journey. We want to influence them across the entire customer journey. So once they find us, now we want to engage with them. What kind of content are they seeking out from you, whether it's on your website or through maybe a social media profile? What kind of pages are they interested in on your website? Finding out, knowing, or asking those particular questions will help you figure out where they're spending the most time and what they most would want as a way to engage. Knowing, of course, where customers engage with you online is important as well. Whether that's the website, within your emails and your email marketing, or it's your social media marketing, you want to analyze all of that and take a look at what content is working the best and where it's working the best, as well as how do people interact with you. So these types of engage questions will allow you to better engage with people in the variety of places that you share content and that you have these interactions, so that you can increase the likelihood that the engagement that you have with a prospective customer will lead to this next stage of conversion. As I mentioned earlier, conversion's not always just buying the biggest, most expensive product, the big thing that you sell. It might be converting from a website visitor to an email subscriber. That's considered a micro conversion. Becoming a website visitor or churning from a website visitor to a free trial customer is also a type of micro conversion. So you can set up different types of micro conversions to get this early buy-in. That buy-in is going to happen by people who are ready for that stage and who are interested enough to move forward. We can influence this by giving them the right levers to pull and the right impetus to do it, and being in front of them with great content that inspires them to do these things. And then we leave it up to them to do these things. So looking at how they convert and where they convert is really important. When we say channels, or which channels drive conversions, we want to know which of our digital marketing channels are driving the most of these either micro conversions or macro conversions, like an actual purchase. Is it coming from your emails? Is it coming from your website? What page of your website if you have multiple pages that people could convert on, which pages are driving the most conversion? Which types of marketing campaigns and calls to action are driving the most conversions? As well, of course, as looking at which channels have the highest ROI. The return on investment is an important thing to look at across all your marketing. All of the marketing activities that you're setting out to do are going to cost time or money, or a combination of both. So figure out which channels have your highest return on investment so you can pour gasoline on the fire, right? We don't want to waste our time with a lot of activities that are not producing the highest level of conversion or any conversion. You could make, one of two decisions. You could either change what you're doing so that those activities and those channels work better, or you could drop that activity, drop a channel, and focus on the ones that are bringing you the highest return. It's really your choice at which decisions you make based on the information you're receiving, but you got to ask the questions first. The last category are these sustain questions. So turning people from a happy customer into a loyal customer, turning someone from a happy client to a referral source. These types of sustain questions are important because once someone buys from you, we don't want to lose them because we've invested a lot of time and money into gaining their business. So that's one reason you don't want them to go anywhere. The second reason is that their friends and the people that they surround themselves with are most likely just like them. So if you have one happy customer who's in a specific type of target demographic for you, they most likely have friends and colleagues and the people that they mix with at work that are also within that same target market. So we want to turn these happy customers into advocates for your business. So think about, do people, and look at, because these are an important and often missed step, do people continue to engage with you after they purchase? Where do they do that? Are you responding? Are you interacting with them and engaging them, and how quickly? And then, do you give people a reason to return? Make it an important element and a vital aspect of the customer journey, and within your marketing, build out ways to influence people who have already purchased from you for those very important reasons, as I mentioned. You paid for them already, and they can connect you to your next best customer. All right, let's move on to step 3, which is choosing the right tools. Now, thankfully, what we're talking about today is all tied, or all the channels that we're talking about are digital. Digital channels have either built-in analytics, or you have third-party analytics that connect to the digital channel that we're talking about to analyze everything that's going on there, and to take that data and put it into patterns and trends reports, and give you the ability to splice and dice the data and really ask those questions of the data, so that you can gain those valuable insights that you can take action on. So what are these tools that you can use? The first and foremost, most powerful thing that you can do for your business is to create a Google Analytics account. A Google Analytics account will connect this powerful web analytics platform to your website. And then it's going to pull in data from your website on your website visitors' behavior. So you'll be able to see what people do once they get to your website. What pages do they go to? Which pages do not get visited? How much time do people spend on a page? Where do they drop off and when? Do people put things in a shopping cart and then abandon that? You can also find out information about those people that are visiting your website as well, based on the information that Google collects from anybody that uses Google who's visiting your site. So the important thing about Google Analytics is that it is free. And, sometimes people say you get what you pay for with free. And that is true of some free things. I can think a lot of, the free plastic toys that my kid gets oftentimes at birthday parties or at an arcade. You're like, okay, free, but, really not very valuable. That is not the case when it comes to Google Analytics. It is a very powerful web analytics platform that you would expect to pay, money for month to month, and for the usage. It's going to give you more data and information than you probably even want to look at. But it is free, and it does connect to your website. You just need to go to marketingplatform.google.com to get it started. And you'll just need to do a few things like adding specific tags to your web pages that you want to have analyzed. So what's cool about Google Analytics is that you can not only look at what goes on your actual website, but you can measure the effectiveness of your marketing campaigns. So you might have a collection or a variety of marketing campaigns. Some of those are going to be digital or online campaigns, like a digital ad or an email. But you may also have offline campaigns, or campaigns that are happening in the real world, right? Maybe you have a trade show that you're going to be at, and you want to drive people to your website from that trade show. How are you going to look at measure the effectiveness of the various marketing campaigns from these various sources if they're all going to the same place? Well, you do it by having Google Analytics. So not only just looking at how many website visitors in total you get, but where they came from. So you can see then that you had, a great return on your investment with this digital ad, because it drove a ton of people to your website, and a bunch, a high percentage of them converted, compared to maybe the trade show that you did, and you had, not as many people go to your website and no one converted. Right? So you're looking at this information so that you can make better decisions on where you spend your time in marketing, as well as, like I said earlier, make decisions about how your business operates in general, products or services that you might add or subtract from your business. Built into Google Analytics are powerful ways to splice and dice the data. And let's take a look at some of the insights that you gain from it. There are real-time insights that will show you what's happening right now. So this could be really important for people who, maybe you get invited onto a really popular radio show where you get to talk to and get interviewed by a host, and the show is syndicated across the United States, and it's going to be tuned into by hundreds of thousands of people. That could give you a real boost to your website. So you may want to look at real-time data to see what's happening right after that radio interview airs. is it important then to go look for more radio interviews because this really did drive a lot of traffic to your site and a lot of conversions? You might have just spent a lot of money doing, this multi-tiered marketing, digital marketing campaign that was all meant to drive people to a specific page of your website for them to download some specific content. And the campaign launches, and there you have a bunch of affiliates and a bunch of influencers all pushing this campaign. You can look immediately to see after a launch what's happening on your site. So that's what the real-time insights are all about. Then you can take a look at your data and combine it in a variety of ways. So you can look at audience data telling you the types of people that visit your website, the interests that they have, the age ranges that they are. You can look at where they come from. That's this acquisition category of data. So where they come from, I mean, do they come from a direct organic search? That means they typed your business name into Google. Or did they come from a social media post? You would want to know the difference there, right? So that you can make decisions on where you're going to spend your marketing time. You can also look at their behavior on your website once they get there, as well as the conversion data. Who did what on your site and at what rates? That's really telling you whether or not your actual website is successful once people get there. So all of these are different insights. As I said, you can collect the data and you can look at these categories of information within reports. So here is a specific report from Google Analytics. James was looking at and trying to increase pizza orders, remember, by 25% within 30 days. So James wanted to take a look at which age range led to the highest amount or highest level of conversion, the highest percentage of people buying pizza online. So e-commerce, that relates to online orders, and conversion rate means the amount of people, the rate of people who actually bought compared to the amount of people who visited the site. In looking at this data, it kind of went against his gut instinct. He thought that the highest rate of conversion would be among the 25 to 34-year-old age group. But in looking at the actual data, he found, oh, wow, it's actually within the 35 to 44-year-old age group. That's where I'm getting the most conversion, the most people who, the highest percentage of people in this age category of 35 to 44 are the ones visiting the site, but then buying the pizzas. So what can James do from here? He can also look at where they came from. So those the acquisition data that I mentioned earlier, meaning where do they come from to the website compared to conversion, is also another important thing for him. He wants to see where he's going to spend his marketing dollars. So he took a look at his acquisition data and the source of traffic to his website. That's what's in red on the left-hand side, or whether it was through an organic search or a paid search or his affiliates. And he's looking at this information, and really all James is concerned about within this particular report is this column of e-conversion rate, where you see this red rectangle or rounded rectangle. In here, he's seeing that the referral source, as well as his paid search sources of traffic to his website, lead to the highest amount of online orders for him. So what's James going to do with this information then? He knows now that his best traffic sources are referral and paid search. So he can adjust his ad spend and focus on his most profitable channels. He knows that the top audience is 35 to 44-year-olds. So he can then review his creative and tailor specific marketing campaigns to that specific audience demographic. Because you will talk to somebody who is 25 slightly differently than you might talk to somebody who's 40 in the influence and compelling kind of copy that you'll use in your marketing campaigns to convince somebody to take an action that will lead to a purchase. So this is simple stuff that he's pulling from this very complex set of data. So even though there's a lot of information in there, you don't have to look at it all. You don't have to use all of that information all at once. It's there for you to splice and dice as you wish, to look at what you want that's meaningful to you and your business. And certainly, by looking at going back and looking at your goal, he's only looking at the particular data that helps him to see whether or not he's reaching that goal so that he can adjust to reach that goal if he's not already doing that. So let's take a look at a few other tools. Google My Business is a free business profile that you can all set up by going to google.com/business. Google.com/business will lead you to a place where you actually can start the process of creating a Google business profile. But if you already have one on Google that has not yet been claimed by you as the owner, you'll be led through a process to verify your Google business profile. You may not have one already on Google, and then you'll just walk through the few steps that it takes to create a Google business profile. Once you have this Google business profile, it really helps you within the local search game. So there's regular search, that's when people go to Google and they just search for anything like, how far is the, distance, how far is the moon from the earth? But when people are doing local searches, they're typically looking for things that are in their local area. Like a restaurant or a car mechanic or an accountant, people that are in their area that they could go and see and do business with. Local search is, when you're talking about just a typical Google search, yes, it's going to operate similarly, but you can help increase your chances and likelihood of people finding you and then clicking on you, something that's tied to your website, in order to do business with you. You can increase your chances of that by having a Google business profile. It's free to create. Once you have it, you want to fill it out as completely as possible, as well as update it as frequently as possible. That will help increase your chances of being shown in a local search. And then you'll want to look at the insights, because we're talking about data, right? So this is where you go in and take a look, and there are insights that are built into this tool. Whereas Google Analytics is something that you tie to your website, no matter where your website is hosted. Here, this is a built-in analytics tool. It is built right in to the actual Google My Business profile. So when you go to Insights, you can see things like how many phone calls you got and the volume of calls at specific times of day. You can see things like which days these calls are being made to see where you're getting the highest volume of calls based on the day. You can also look at things like how many people requested directions or clicked on and went to your website. You can also see the information like which sources led to your business profile showing up. Did someone do a direct search where they typed in your business name into Google? Or did your business profile come up because they typed in either a different business's name or a few different keywords or search terms that brought up your business profile? It will give you that information as well. But let's take a look at James. So he learned by taking a look at his Google business profile data that customers call more often on Wednesdays at 6. That's interesting. So what's James going to do with this information? Some potential actions that he can take, and you can see that these aren't necessarily marketing actions, right? These are, some of these are just business practices. So he could boost his phone call staffing for those peak times. So if he doesn't have enough people on the phones, and he might be then potentially losing business on Wednesdays at around 6 p.m., then he could boost that phone call staffing. He could also potentially offer customers other ways to contact his business. And maybe a third thing he could do is offer incentives to order on other days of the week so that he doesn't get the highest volume on a time when he's already slammed. Simple steps that he can take that will increase his overall online orders, increase his overall revenue, and help his business grow just by simply looking at the information that's already there for you. The next tool I want to share with you is called the Google Search Console. Google Search Console is a tool that you tie to your website, you use for free. So it's another free offering from Google, and it's going to help you monitor and maintain your website in Google search. So you can take a look at things like which of your web pages is actually indexed or seen by Google. There might be some pages that are not being seen by Google, which means that they're not going to be served up when someone does a search around the content that's on your that particular web page. Google Search Console will also share information like which search queries led to your web pages showing up. Once it's tied to your website, it also allows you to add and remove web pages, hide particular web pages. It gives you a ton of capability within your actual website, as well as monitoring your website within Google search. You go to google.com/webmasters to get that started, to get that connected to your site. Let's take a look at what James learned. James, by taking a look at his Google Search Console reports, noticed that his website's average position, so that's the ranking that he has in Google's organic search results, his average position hovers around 24. So he's in the 24th position, not the best place to be. So his potential action could be to do some SEO on his website, to optimize his website for search engine visibility. He wants to raise that average position to rank higher in the search results for the type of pizza that he's offering. Whether so his is a wood-fired gourmet pizza. And those might be search terms and keywords that he's using. He wants to rank higher for those. So he's going to create some strategies around the content that he puts on his website, as well as the content that he puts on the back end of his web pages that Google sees, so that he can potentially get more traffic to his website by being discovered in Google's organic search at a higher ranking. Search engine optimization is a big topic that I don't have a lot of time to go into, but it's very worth you taking a look at what you can do to optimize your website. And there are some very simple things you could do that you might not yet be doing that could help bump up your average position. James also learned through the Search Console that his average click-through rate is 1.99%. So this is the amount of the rate at which people click through to actually buy his pizza. So to go from his website, looking at the information to actually clicking on a link on the page. So this click-through rate is something that he wanted to increase. A potential action he could take would be to improve his page titles and descriptions. So when someone sees your link, your page show up in a Google search, they can just look at it. And you all do this as well, right? We take a look at these web pages that come up on in a search, and we decide which ones we're going to click on. You'll see a blue page title. That's the thing right at the top of what you see in a search engine results page. So on a search engine results page, you're going to have a bunch of different results, and all of those results individually are called snippets. The blue part of this result is the page title, and then the gray, smaller text underneath it are the descriptions. You control all of those page titles and descriptions yourself on your own website. If, presuming you have control of your own website. If you have somebody that manages your website and does it for you, then they have the ability to control those page titles and descriptions, or what we call metadata. That information will potentially drive people to click or not, because people see it. That's what they read and decide on whether or not they're going to click on the link to go to the web page that particular snippet is driving people to. So you can increase that click-through rate from a search to the website by just improving those titles and descriptions, being more descriptive, using keywords and keyword phrases, writing those descriptions in a more compelling way. All right, we're going to move on and talk about another tool that is built into a Google product called Google Ads. Some of you know Google Ads as Google AdWords. It's just been updated and named to Google Ads with all the same and actually more capability. So you can go to ads.google.com if you are interested in creating a Google Ads account. Within your Google Ads account, you have insights built in. So you can see things like how many people viewed your ad, how many people clicked on your ad. That's an important thing to know, because you actually are paying for clicks only. So these are PPC, or pay per click ads. So it's important to know how many clicks you got based on how many views you had. Then you can actually create a conversion rate between views and clicks. Also, some information here that could be interesting for you is looking at where your ad was viewed or clicked on. So you could see that in this particular example for James's information, he had more people viewing his ad from smartphones and more people clicking on his ad from smartphones than from any other device. So let's take a look at that particular data. He learned that by looking at that particular data within his Google Ads account. And some potential actions then he could take are to create mobile focused ads. Mobile focused ads might look different, might have less focus on imagery, might be more text heavy and shorter in their actual copy. He may also want to optimize his website for mobile friendliness and speed, because he knows that people are visiting from the ad. They're visiting his website and clicking through to his website from his mobile ads. So that means he needs to make sure that the website experience is exceptional on a mobile device. So if he hadn't done it already, he could optimize his website for that mobile friendliness and load time so that it loads quickly for people. Another tool I want to share with you that is data, just by the very usage of it, is Google Trends. Google Trends compares search terms to each other. So in the world of marketing, digital marketing, we do need and want to create some keywords and keyword phrases that we use across our digital media that we hope people will also be using to search for the thing it is we sell. So in James's case, he sells deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and gluten-free pizza. He wants to compare these terms to one another to see which one is trending more over different times of the year. So you can take a look at which term has a higher search volume within Google. He saw a rise in the search for gluten-free pizza. So James decided, you know what, these gluten-free pizza searches are on the rise. So his potential actions then are adding a gluten-free pizza to his menu. So these are the changes that you can potentially make to your business, not just your marketing, but to your actual business by looking at data. He did not yet he was thinking about it, right? This was one of those gut instincts that he had. He's like, huh, you know what? There's a lot of gluten-free uh, foods out there, actual specialty restaurants. There's a lot of people suffering from these gluten intolerance and celiac disease now. Maybe I should have had a gluten-free pizza. He wasn't quite sure whether he should or not. Just by using that one tool, Google Trends, he looked at search terms and saw, wow, there's a huge spike in the search for gluten-free pizza, and then it surpassed the searches for these other types of pizzas. That told him, you know what? This is really something that I need to consider for my menu. If I want to not only get more traffic to the website, because people who type in gluten-free pizza then may get his website might hit and people might go to it, but also potentially please his customers and make his business more successful because of that. So be sure, of course, that your website includes this corresponding content. You're not just going to use keywords and keyword phrases to bait people into clicking on your web pages, and then once they go there, there's no content that actually matches that. That's what we call keyword stuffing. It's not something that you want to do. And actually, Google and other search engines will downgrade those web pages that do that and penalize you, if you will. So not a great practice. Make sure that whatever terms, search terms that you're going to use, you do include that within the metadata, but also within the actual content of the pages on your website. All right, moving on to our recap, and then we will jump into whatever questions that we have. And Kim, you can help me with that. The places you go from here are to make sure that you are always outlining goals ahead of time. Make sure they are SMART goals. Ask the right questions across this entire customer journey. How are you reaching people, engaging them, converting, and sustaining them? Then, of course, choose and use the right tools. Thankfully, these are things that are built into the digital marketing media that you're going to use, or that you can easily tie to your digital marketing media. And make sure, most important thing you can do, measure results, but take action. Don't just look at the data and go, huh, that's interesting, or, oh, yeah, that supports my gut instinct. Actually do something with the information so that you can improve on what's already working, or improve on and make better what's already working, but also improve on or potentially get rid of the things that aren't working. You, of course, do need a Google account to use any of these tools or products. If you don't have one yet, you can create a free Google account quite easily. You can use any email address. You can use your already existing work email address if you wish to create an account. While we go into questions, or Kim, I'll turn it over to you to see if we have any questions, and then I will urge you to go to the Grow with Google site after the webinar ends so that you can check out all the other resources and guides and information that is on that site. Kim, any questions that we can take? So Kim, I'm not hearing you. I'm not sure if you're talking to me right now. I don't hear you. Okay, so one question I see in the chat, and then Kim, hopefully your microphone gets working again for anybody who has questions that are in the room with you there. The question from Aziz is, what would you recommend including in a small business dashboard? Any template you would recommend beside Google Analytics? So Google Analytics, just as a clarification, is not a template. It's a platform to analyze your website visitors' behavior. But as far as other recommendations for a small, I'm not sure exactly what you mean about a small business dashboard. Feel free to clarify that if you wish. But what I'm guessing you mean is that what other potential tools tied to the digital marketing would help. And definitely, I think having some type of CRM could be an important feature for your business. That would be a customer relationship management software that helps you manage your relationships from and through that customer journey. An example would be Zoho, or enterprise level CRM would be Salesforce. So that could be something that would be really powerful for businesses, give you a lot of data as well, and help you to manage your interactions and conversations and actions that you take within the customer journey. I see another question about from Carmen, that using Google platforms seems complex. Is it better to hire a professional, or should we attempt to do this work ourselves? Carmen, it's a great question. When it comes to anything that I'm talking about here, unless marketing is your profession, you are taking on an entirely new job, right? So running your business is one job. Running, and that's more than one job, right? But taking on your marketing is a whole nother job. So it's really up to you whether you have the savviness for it or the time or inclination. I know people who understand this stuff, they just don't want to do it. I have people that I've met over the years who are just perplexed by this. They don't understand and just can't wrap their mind around thinking like a marketer. It would be, of course, very important to hire somebody if that's the case. Some folks who, are at a stage in their business where they can hire a professional agency or consultant to do this. So it depends. That's my answer. It depends on who you are and where you're at within your business. If you, and I mean, your marketing should take about 20% of your budget, and that's as your business grows, that marketing budget grows. And if some of that budget is going to somebody who can help assist, and maybe it's just small things that they do, and then it goes into more complex strategic things down the line. But it is important to understand what is the best use of your own time. Another question I see here is Google Ads can be intimidating to start using, and do I have any recommendations to getting started or creating effective campaigns? I do have recommendations. One of the things you can do is to choose the Smart Campaign option. Smart Campaigns are a type of Google ad that were designed specifically for small businesses, and they take a lot of the heavy lifting out of Google Ads. So for any of you that are familiar with Google Ads, you do need to choose keywords and keyword phrases, adjust those over time. You have bid prices, and you're adjusting those over time. And there's a lot of nuances to Google Ads that you can control, which makes it a hugely powerful digital online advertising tool. But it also takes time to learn how to do all of that. The Smart Campaign option will allow you to control your budget, control the content of your ad, as well as where you want it to show or who you want it to show to. But then Google will take over the other more difficult and ongoing adjustments for your ad, so that you don't have to worry about that as much. So it's a great place to start when it comes to just getting started with the online advertising game. All right, let's see. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but please, if you do have a question that I haven't answered, type it into the chat. Oh, we've got a question from Ted at Solo Sling. Hi, Ted. I remember meeting you the last time. He says, I don't plan on having a brick and mortar store. he has an online sales only store. So is there any advantage using the My Business Insights? So My Business Insights, which are tied to your Google Business Profile, really are the Google Business Profile in general is for local search. So it's for people, it's to help increase your chances of being found when people are looking for you locally. So if you don't have a brick and mortar location, or you don't serve people necessarily locally, I mean, I know, of course, you want to sell your product to people in your town as well as in another country, but if the bulk of your business isn't local, then the Google Business Profile may not be the best play for you, if you will. But it doesn't hurt to have a business profile. You can have your business address there, and you can choose a service area that you sell to. One caveat, however, is that if you are purely an e-commerce business and you never interface with customers or clients in the real world or offline, then it actually you are exempt from a Google Business Profile. So that's just one of the business types that wouldn't be able to have a Google Business Profile.
Corissa, can you hear me?
I can.
Sorry, it was muted. So one of our participants has sorry, I just tripped over my own shoe. Question for you.
Great.
Yes, I was wondering if you're going to get help,
Okay, and Kim, can you repeat that question to me?
Okay, he wanted to know if you're going to hire somebody to do this for you. Do you just hire a marketing firm, or are there other resources?
The best place to probably start would be with Kim and the SBDC. So utilize the free resources that you have. As Kim mentioned, when she kicked this thing off, she and the SBDC are Google partners. So they have a lot of this help and information that they can provide to you at no cost. And then, through the SBDC, as well as your local chamber, as well as just by doing a local search, you could find a marketing agency or consultant in your area. Now, if you don't care who you work with, and they could be in Connecticut or, Pakistan, then you could do a wider search, of course, not just local, to find somebody that fits what you're looking to do and what you want to pay. So that's a multi-tiered step based on really where you are. But I think the first thing you should do is to work with Kim in the SBDC, and then go from there. And she's got tons of resources as well to help you. Right, Kim?
That is true. I actually maintain a referral list for clients of this type. Actually,
Awesome.
I maintain a referral list of all types of resources that a small business needs. So if you need an attorney, if you need a graphic designer, if you need a marketing expert, if you need an accountant, we have all of those. And then we
Wonderful.
have somebody else in the room who has another question.
Hi, so to piggyback on that question, is there any type of certification example if I'm looking for someone well-versed in Google Analytics?
So are you looking for a certification for yourself, or are you just looking for somebody who's been certified?
She says both.
Okay, so there are certifications to go through for Google Analytics, and if you just Google Analytics, you can see what those certifications are. There is an academy. It's called I think they've changed the name. It used to be called Academy, but I think it's different now. However, if you were to just Google it, you'll find it, and there are different levels of certification. You can go through them. You can also look for the Google Partner Badge, so a Google Agency Badge, and that would be somebody who is certified at different levels depending on which badge they have, and that's something that they would post on their own website or with their own digital content.
All right. Any other questions?
Are there other questions out in the virtual world too?
I don't see any on the chat.
Everybody's pretty quiet here. And maybe because it, oh, I found one. Hang on.
Okay.
What is price per click?
You want to know about the process? Okay.
Sure. So a
Hang
paper.
on just a second, Carissa.
All right. So it's a bidding system. So Carissa, he really wants to know about how the pay-per-click works with a bidding system.
Okay, so the whole pay-per-click ad, whenever you create a digital ad, your ad is entered into what is called an ad auction. So you're competing with other people who have ads that are similar to yours, just like your website, your web pages are competing with other web pages that have similar content, and you're competing in the organic search. So you compete within this paid search realm as well in this ad auction. You're competing based on the bid price, so the price of each click that you've set, as well as the quality, what's called a quality score. The quality score is made up of a few different factors. That would be the quality of the actual ad, so how well it's written, whether the landing page is a quality website page or landing page that you're sending people to, and if the content just matches what the actual ad says and it compels people to click. So the click-through rate is actually part of the quality score. So your overall average click-through rate on past ads gets factored in over time. So this quality score is then combined with the bid price, and then you're competing with others that are posting ads that are similar to yours within this auction, and whoever kind of wins out each auction, their ad will show up first. So it's a prioritizing, just like the organic search results. You're going to see a top result, and then a second one, a third one, down, 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 and across all the pages. It's the same with ads. They all get prioritized. You'll have the first one that shows up right at the top, and then one below, and another one below, and then maybe some that are on the bottom, and then page to page to page. So your ads are going to get prioritized like that, but it's an auction system versus the algorithm that's used within the Google search ranking. That's about as easy as an explanation as I can give you. And if you're looking for more in-depth information on that, you can absolutely, there's guides available through Google Ads, and you can Google that. And isn't it great? You can just Google everything and find all this stuff out. You could Google that and find out more about how the ad auction works, as well as there are certifications, just, for the person who had asked about that earlier. There's certifications in Google Ads as well. If you really, really want to get good at it and savvy with it, you can go through those.
So something I'd like to add to that is the choice of your keywords have a lot to do with how the auction works. So if you are using a very popular keyword, the pay-per-click is going to be more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, bakeries are going to be a lot more expensive than a long tail keyword that's very specific to, like, gluten-free cupcakes would be a better choice, probably.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
More specific, and maybe the lower the search volume on that keyword, or the essentially the less popular it is going to lower that bid price. Yes.
Yeah, so just so you know, like, one of the most expensive pay-per-clicks is an attorney in Dallas, Texas, okay? So those pay-per-clicks, the last time I heard, were like about $500 a click. Now, the return on investment on that $500 is about at least $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that attorney in Texas is like, absolutely, $500 is well worth my time.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
So it's incredibly complex, and you have to know your business and your customers. It's just not random.
Right. And for those of you, I mentioned the smart campaigns. With smart campaigns, you're not choosing your own keywords and keyword phrases. Google chooses those for you based on the ad you've created and the category you've chosen for that ad, and basically the information that you give to Google around the ad. And they'll do the harder stuff, like choosing and adjusting the keywords so that your ad can have the most success as possible, getting in front of the right people, without you having to be in there every day making adjustments. So it could be just a great way for you to start the process of doing digital ads until you really study how to do Google ads in a more, outside of those smart campaigns.
That's absolutely right. One of the things that you can do with that is, while you can't choose your own keywords, you could eliminate certain keywords. So for instance, Steve, who's here, he sells jewelry that he makes himself, and one of them has a Viking theme. And so one thing that he wants to eliminate is football, because he doesn't want people looking for the Vikings football team. They want Vikings, like the Norse Vikings. So,
Exactly.
thank you for letting
Yes.
me use you as an experiment.
Great. Are there any other questions that we can help you with?
I think we're in good shape. Nobody has anything? I appreciate your time, and we did record this, so I will send this to everybody so that you can watch it again, take many notes, and for those of you who are virtual, please feel free to reach out to me via email, and for those of you who are in the room, let's talk, and if you want to set up some time with me, you can do that after we break.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. I hope you learned a few new things you can start doing with your business, whether or not that's yourself or at least information that you can use to hire the right person. Thanks so much again, and I'll look forward to hopefully running into you or talking with you online next time.
Thank you, Corissa.
You're welcome. Thanks, Kim.